Selenium WebDriver using C# programming language Part 2. The various topics we will cover today include locating elements. Web application, there are different elements which you can see on the web page. For example, there may be text boxes, drop-down boxes, buttons, and other elements. In order to test those web application, you have to locate those elements. There are different tools you can use. There are developer tools which comes with browser. You can use those to locate those elements. Firebug and Firepath is the developer tool which comes with Firefox. It's an add-on to Firefox that's very helpful and popular to locate elements and do other development related tasks. Number 3, browser selection. By default, Selenium WebDriver supports Firefox browser, but other browsers such as Internet Explorer and Chrome can be used also for doing automation testing with Selenium WebDriver. So we will cover that topic also. Then number 4, Selenium components. Since Selenium was created in early 2000s, it has gone through several different upgrades or modifications. So we'll discuss what are the different components of Selenium, what are different flavors of it. Number 5, Selenium IDE is a plug and play. Selenium IDE is record and play tool, which is the easiest one to use and fastest one to get that automation started. So we'll cover that also. Number 6, although Selenium IDE is a record and playback tool, but there are some features by which you can generate code in it and use that code in your C# project and run it as Selenium WebDriver. So we'll cover that also. In order to test the web application, you need to locate the different elements on the web page. There are different, and then you can perform any kind of action on those elements. You need to locate those elements by unique attributes or properties of that element. If the element is a text box, then attribute or property which is unique to that text box need to be identified. So these are the different kind of methods you can use to locate those. So you can locate an element by its attribute of ID, name, link text, partial link text, XPath, tag name, class name, CSS. Most commonly you can use ID to locate an element because each element has a unique ID. But there are situations in which ID is not available, then you have to use one of the other techniques. XPath is also common to identify the element uniquely. Now there are different tools available which comes with the browser, which can be used to identify these elements. So for Chrome browser, you can use your developer tools to locate the elements on the web page. So for example, here is a text box for phone number. So you can, one way is like you can right click on that text box and select inspect option. So that will open the developer tool with elements tab opened, and then there you will see the different attributes for that particular text box. So you'll see that the class name is text field, ID is text phone, name is text phone. So you can use ID locator or name locator, whichever is appropriate. But since ID is unique for every element, so most probably people will use ID to locate this element. So you can close this developer tool. The other way to open this developer tool is just go to the settings menu, and within that you'll see um, more tools, and more tools. You can select developer tools, and you'll go into the same developer tools window. So here you have to kind of drill down into that table and find the element. So it'll be a little bit more time consuming. So the best way would be just to right click on that element and select the inspect option to find the attributes of that element. Similarly, if you are using Internet Explorer browser, there are developer tools available to locate elements. For example, here suppose again we want to locate this text field for phone number, so we can just right click on select that field and right click on it, and right click on it and select inspect element. So that will launch the developer tool, and it will select that element which we selected. So here is that element, the text, its name attribute is text phone, class is text field, ID is text phone. So here, this is how you can locate this element uniquely by using one of these properties. The other way you can launch this developer tool is by pressing F12 key, or you can go into this settings menu and select developer tools. So that will also launch the developer tool. Now let's go through an example to see what we have learned so far. So in this web application, we will enter a phone number and a password and click on the submit button, and it will take you to another page where it shows the customer phone number. So we need to validate also that we have reached the right place. So let's see the code for this for this test case. So we go to let's look at the code, Selenium WebDriver code, which will test that application. So first one is we need to open the browser and navigate to the application under test. So we'll use this iWebDriver driver that will declare the declaration of the object. Then next is create the object or instantiate it. So that's driver is equal to new Firefox driver. So since we are going to use the default Firefox browser, so we'll skip those comments here. And then we want to navigate to the URL. So we'll use this driver.navigate.go to URL and enter the URL there. And next is here we have put like a thread.sleep, which will just put a wait of 3 seconds, just so that it makes it a little bit slower so that we can see the output. Then here is the one which we are interested in, where we located that element of text box where the user can enter the phone number. So first we want to clear that text box, so that if there is some previous entry, it will clear it. So we use this driver.find element by.id. ID was that ID which we found using the browser developer tool, and we clear that text box, and then the next statement we um, locate that element again and then send keys and send the phone number. So this is how you use the different locators. So in this case, we for text box to enter the phone number, we used ID locator. Similarly, to enter the password, we follow the same sequence, but instead of using ID, we are using the locator name. So we locate that element by name. So the name of that field was text password, and then we send keys and password. Similarly, the next one is we click on the submit button. So here we are using XPath locator. So that's the XPath for that submit button, and then it will click that button. Now once we clicked it, we go to another page where the customer phone number is shown. So we want to validate that we have reached the correct page. So we use this code here. We put like a we create a variable, string variable expected value, and we know that expected value should be customer phone number, and then we are going to use code to find that the actual value. So actual value is we locate that element and get the text out of that element, and then we will use the if statement to validate that the actual value and the expected value are equal. If they are equal, then our test case will pass. If they are not equal, then it will fail. So let's run this test case. So we'll right click on it, run test. So it should open the Firefox browser and then navigate to trainingguide.net, and then enter the phone number and the password, and then click on the submit button, and then it goes to the next page where it shows the customer phone number, and it will validate if the actual phone number and the expected phone number are matching. So here, just to see if the output is matching, we have used console.writeline command. So let's see the output and see if we are able to get the right results. So here our console, the message captured customer phone number was this, expected value matches with the actual value, so the test case pass. Also on the left hand side in the text explorer, also you see that the login test case passed. Just like Internet Explorer and Chrome have their developer tools, Firebug also has developer tools. And one of the most popular developer tool is Firebug, which is a add-on or a plugin for Firefox browser. And Firepath is another add-on which gives some extra capabilities by which you can locate XPath and CSS selectors. So let's see how we can add Firepath to Firefox. So just go to Google and just type download Firebug. So you'll go to addons.mozilla.org where you can add Firebug to your browser. by clicking on this add to Firefox. Since I already have it, so I will not add. Click on this button. And next, after installing Firebug, similarly you can search Firepath here on this same website, addons.mozilla.org. So Firepath, and just add to Firefox, and that will add this plugin also to Firefox. You may have to restart the Firefox browser after installing this add-on. So once this Firepath and Firebugs are installed, you will see a small icon, like a bug icon on your navigation toolbar. That will launch Firebug. So another way is from going to Tools and Web Developer and Firebug and open Firebug. So that will also launch Firebug. So let's click on this icon to launch Firebug, and it opens Firebug. How to locate elements on a web page using Firepath, Firebug and Firepath. You just go to the site on which you want to locate the element. So, and then you click on this element inspector icon, and then move the cursor to the button which or the element for which you want to find locate the element for it. So just click on this. For example, here we want to see the XPath for submit button. So as soon as you click on it, you'll see the HTML code, and it will have the properties of that submit button. For example, its ID is equal to button submit, similar class, type, value, and name button submit. But here also the Firepath, if you select that menu option, that menu, you'll see the XPath. So that's XPath. You can copy that and use it in your code. There are instances in which it's difficult to locate the ID or other name or tag names and stuff like that. In those cases, it's useful to use the XPath created by this tool. You can create XPath by yourself also if you know the ID or other attributes, but that's a different subject. But for this session, we'll just use the XPath generated by Firepath. So you can copy the XPath and then go to your WebDriver code, and you can use that in this statement. For example, driver.findElementBy.XPath, and you can paste the XPath here and perform the action on it. .click. Browser selection. As we mentioned before, that Firefox is the default browser for Selenium WebDriver. However, with Selenium WebDriver, you can use other browsers also, such as Internet Explorer or Chrome browsers to do your testing. However, for Firefox, you don't need any extra executable or install any other driver to use this browser. But if you want to use Chrome or IE, you need to download some drivers for these browsers. So let's go to the site, Selenium official website, which is seleniumhq.org, and then click on the download tab, and there you will see that you can download the Internet Explorer driver server. So the 32-bit or 62-bit, 64-bit version for IE. You can download that from here. Similarly, if you scroll down, you can get the Google Chrome driver also from this website. So once you have downloaded that, you don't need to do any installation. Just place them in some folder and note down the path where you downloaded these drivers. So here in this code we are using the default browser, which is Firefox. However, if we want to use say we want to use Chrome driver instead of Firefox, so we'll just use comment this statement where it calls the Firefox browser, and we type this other statement which calls the Chrome driver. So its driver is equal to new Chrome driver, and here you will need to provide the path of the driver which you downloaded from that Selenium HQ site. So here is for example, here on this C drive under softwares and Chrome driver underscore win32 folder, I have put the Chrome driver executable. So here you need to give the path of it. So this is the format you want to use. You have to put the @ of symbol, and then within double quotes put the path of that driver. Similarly, if you wanted to use Chrome, you have to write this command driver is equal to comment the other one for Chrome and uncomment the one, or type it. Since I already typed it, so I uncommented it. So driver is equal to new Internet Explorer, and then the path where your Internet Explorer server driver is located. But let's test it with Chrome here in this case. So we'll just uncomment the Chrome driver one, and then you can run the test, and it, instead of Firefox, it will launch the Chrome driver and run the test using Chrome browser. Another thing which you need to add to your code is this using statements. So if you're using Firefox, then you have to use openqa.selenium.firefox. So those are the Firefox class which will have the required statements by which you can use Firefox. Similarly, if you are using Chrome or Internet Explorer, you have to use the corresponding using statements which will import the required classes libraries for IE or Chrome. So these statements need to be added depending upon which browser you are using. Now here for like the path which we write, one way is to like type the actual path here. If you don't want to type the path, you can also create an environment variable in the control panel, and then you don't need to put a path. So if you can go to control panel system and security system, advanced settings, and then environment variables. So here you can create a new environment variable, give it a name of the environment variable, and the actual path where the browser driver is located. So if you create that, then you don't need to put those paths there in your Selenium code. Selenium Component. Since Selenium started or was introduced in 2002, it has gone through a lot of updates and changes, and there are different components or different flavors of Selenium WebDriver available currently. So first one is Selenium RC. This one is deprecated now. This was used to mostly utilizing browsers which support JavaScript. The next one is Selenium WebDriver. This is the one which is currently widely being used, and it requires hand coding of Selenium scripts and supports major languages such as Java, C#, Python, PHP, Ruby. The next component is Selenium Grid, which is basically when we want to use Selenium WebDriver or RC scripts in multiple browsers and operating systems. then simultaneously then you use Selenium Grid. And the last one is Selenium IDE, which is record and playback. It's the easiest to learn, and but it has some limitations. So, and it does require little or no programming experience. So however, it has some features by which you can generate Selenium WebDriver code and utilize that code. In this training class session, we will mainly concentrate on Selenium IDE record and playback feature and how we can utilize it to finding elements, and also to automatically generates Selenium WebDriver's code, which we can use in our scripts. Selenium IDE. Selenium IDE is a Firefox plugin, and it can be used for record and playback testing, using record and playback. So you need to install it in your Firefox. So for that, you can go to Google and type download Selenium IDE. Here we are using Yahoo, but you can go to Google and also type download Selenium IDE, and the link which comes here on there will be, the first one will be for the seleniumhq.org. Here, if you scroll down, you will see a section for Selenium IDE, and it will give you the link addons.mozilla.org, and here you can click on add to Firefox, and it will add that plugin. Since I already have installed it, so you can verify. Once it's installed, you'll be able to launch it by going into Tools and Selenium IDE. So when you start Selenium IDE, by default, when you hover over this record button, it says that it's recording now. What it means is that when you click anything on the web page in the browser, it will start recording that step which you're doing. Let's do some simple test case for this web application. It's a travel reservation website. So here in the drop down, let's say we want to go to Florida. So we select Florida, click select and go, and from there we select choose the airport location. Let's say we want to go to Orlando. Drop off city, we want to choose Disney World, and type of vehicle which we want to reserve is limousine. So then we click on submit. Once we are on this page, it shows how much will be the charge for the trip. So we want to, for our testing purposes, we want to validate that the amount it is showing is correct. So we can store this trip charge amount in a variable, and then we can compare this with the expected value. So this will be actual value, and you can compare it with the expected value. Selenium IDE provides this option that you can store this in this as a, we can store this text ID. So you just select this option by right clicking on it, then selecting store ID. You can give name to this variable. Suppose we can call it, say, rate code. Now we want to complete this test case, so we will click on stop recording. If we want to play it back, we'll just click on since it's a single text, we'll just click on this play, before we do that, let's go to another site so that test can start from the beginning. The recorded test case can start from the beginning. So we'll go to here and click on play current test case. It will first go to the page and choose the selections which we made, and so it ran one test case and 0 failures. Now what we want to do is we want to get the code which was recorded. So you just clicked on options, format, and C and unit and WebDriver code. So that's the code which we wanted. So we selected that, and here is the code. So we just choose the part which we need. We don't need to select all of it. The part which we are interested in is this Selenium code, and we can copy this and paste it into our Selenium WebDriver code, and we may have to tweak it a little bit just to get it working, because it may be using variables names which are different from the ones which we have. Here you see that I have copied that code from Selenium IDE into this Selenium WebDriver C# code. So here I've commented all those so that you see that actual code which was copied from there, and then there are some modifications which are done, like for example, uh, here it is using the base URL, so I've replaced that with the actual URL which we want to test. And then also you need, since it's testing the drop downs, so you have to put this using Selenium's using openqa.selenium.sport at the top, the using statements. And if there are any other squiggly lines in the code, you have to fix those before you can use it. So basically this is the code which a modified code, some tweaking has been done, and from the code which was copied from Selenium IDE, and it can be used in Selenium WebDriver. So let's run this test case. So it should launch Firefox browser, then go to the training right website, make those selections from the drop downs, and then basically in the end we are validating also that it is going to the right page and the expected value should be matching with the real value. That code part of the code is not there, but once we have that variable, we can use it to compare with the actual value code. So here I put like a console.writeLine, and the variable which we used in Selenium WebDriver, we're going to output that and see if it is stored there, and then this stored value can be compared with actual value, and if they are matching, then that means that our test we have reached the validation is complete, and the test case passed. But if the actual rate code value and expected rate code value do not match, then the test case should fail. So just to see the output of this console.writeLine, you see here the rate captured is trip charge $65 US. So this was the text which we had stored in the variable from Selenium IDE.